As I worked on the Hemingses of Monticello, I've had to rely pretty much on Jefferson's records. And that's always a tricky business because Jefferson is enslaving people. He has a particular attitude about them. So you have to read the evidence with that in mind. Well, like all planters, Jefferson kept a record of his farm operations. Slavery was a business, so you had to keep track of your inventory, and that would be human beings in this situation. The kinds of things that he was giving out to them, clothing, food, family relations, all those kinds of things he kept in the farm book. The first time I saw pages from the farm book was when I was a teenager. And when I started working on my first book, I went to give a talk at the Massachusetts Historical Society, and I was allowed to actually hold it and go through the farm book. And it was just amazing to see it and to hold it, because this is a document that I'd been looking at in facsimile form for all these years. On the other hand, when I started reading it and you see the handwriting, just very neat handwriting, putting down the story of the lives of people that he's enslaving, it was just powerful. I felt myself almost overcome, because then you really see the people and you think to yourself, here's a guy who has this level of power over individuals, and he thinks he's being a good guy. And he is seeing himself clearly as, I'm the benevolent great white father. Here's all the things that I'm doing for my people. And I'm looking at it and thinking about the people in it, saying, no, why do we have to be here, right? The people that he's listing, they're carpenters, they know how to farm, they are blacksmiths, iron workers, all of these people, they can't just pick up and leave and say, I don't want to be a part of this book. When I started to think about writing the Hemingses of Monticello, that it was important for me to take those people who ran the farm book and try to make them live as much as I could, whatever capacity I had as a writer and as a researcher, to make these people come alive, not just to be pages in Jefferson's farm book. I wanted to sort of bring out their understanding of their lives. So it's a tough thing to see people's lives through the eyes of the people who are holding them in bondage. And so what you have to do in this situation, when you're dealing with people who are not producing lots of records or who are telling family stories, is that you have to look around it to see the kinds of ways in which it can be corroborated. In some ways, written documents are superior, but people can say things that aren't true in documents. Just because it's written down, it doesn't make it the truth. You have to go through the same process of corroboration, looking for things outside of the document to support what's inside of the document. You can't invent things that are not there, but there's more there than we think. I would say comb libraries, look at endnotes from historical books. Footnotes are full of hints and things that you could look at, maybe for further study. The other thing to keep in mind is that don't be afraid to identify with enslaved people. Don't be afraid to think of them as anything other than human beings, and to trust your own instincts about the material that you're reading. Trust your own instincts about how a human being would act or feel in a particular circumstance. There's a famous saying that the past is a foreign country, but it's not a different planet. I mean, there are some commonalities in the human existence that are just there. It's because of who we are. We're born, we live a certain time, and we die. We have a heart, we have a brain, we have much in common. And don't be afraid to think of the things that you have in common with people who lived a long time ago, but were human beings and had values and hopes and fears the same as we all do.